travelling in your 30s.
Play the theme music. And welcome to this episode of Tripology. I'm Alun, and I'm here with the ever-aging Adam.
I've got to be honest, mate, I do feel quite old, but you're catching me up.
I'm catching you up slowly but surely. Like the hare and the tortoise having a race, I feel like I'm really encroaching on your territory as the elder statesman of Tripology.
Yeah, so people have been commenting a lot on our age recently, haven't they? The way that we look, specifically.
Yeah, they've been saying to me, oh, you're a bit older than Adam, aren't you? And I kid myself into thinking it's just because of my facial hair. But in actual fact, it's because I've worked with animals so much, I can never wear sunscreen outdoors.
Yeah, that's so funny.
But we are both in our 30s now. For the very first time in Tripology history, we're doing an episode both in the same decade of our lives.
That's it, and that's because it was your birthday this week. We had a massive week, and it's interesting, really, because we've spoken about travelling in your 30s. Obviously, I was the only one out of us two that could relate to that or understand it. And I remember you saying to me months and months ago, mate, I think it's going to be a little bit different after I turn 30. I'm a bit worried that, maybe there'll be a different dynamic in hostels and all this sort of stuff. So I'm really interested in knowing whether there's been a change, and how do you feel?
Well, I'll be completely clear. I turned 30 a few days ago.
It was a few days ago.
So I don't have much of a grasp on how it's different or how it's changed yet. But I'll say this. I think the anxiety of turning 30 is something a lot of travellers can empathise with massively, right?
Yeah, well, it's another societal pressure that still plagues us.
Yeah, it totally is, isn't it? We get a lot of emails from people saying, I'm in my 30s, is this even still possible? Can we even travel anymore?
Yeah.
I don't want to be in a position where I'm there with a load of young people who want to drink and party every night. What do we do? And, it was a concern.
Yeah, it's not the fact you're in your 30s, it's your wife and kids and your mortgage that are stopping you.
Yeah, seems more likely, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just have anxiety about turning 30. And the reason is, we're sort of pressured into taking stock of our lives at the age of 30.
Yeah, it seems to be a milestone, and I don't know if it's just because it's a round number.
Yeah, it has to be that.
Yeah, I don't know. There's certain things that we should have achieved. We feel like we should have met certain targets by that time. And to be fair, lots of our friends back home are doing very well for themselves and have met those targets as well.
Yeah, we put a pressure on ourselves this is what I want to achieve before I'm 30. I think I even did that at the age of 20. Yeah. It was by the time I'm 30, I want to do this, and this.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about this, though, is because if we sort of transplant it into a travel context, there is this old cliche that people want to achieve for a certain amount of countries before they turn 30 as well. Yeah. So even within the context of travel, that societal pressure still exists.
There's that movement, 30 countries before you're 30.
Yeah, I don't know if I did it.
No?
Well, I think I hit it. Maybe I was 30 at 30.
Yeah, okay.
And then,
30 countries by the time you turn 30.
Yeah, and then when you spend 3 years in Australia, 3 years in Canada, and almost a year in Hong Kong, it kind of limits your ability to move through countries quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. You've taken a much slower approach to travel than I have, I think.
Yeah, or some people do. I mean, I know some 22, 23-year-olds that go interrailing and they knock off 18 countries in the space of a month.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're, I would say, a thorough traveller. You really invest in the culture of a place. I think that's completely valid. So that's the kind of fallacy of the whole 30 before 30 thing. Or people who go I want to make $1 million before I'm 30. Or people who say, I want 2 kids by the time I'm 30 or something. You set these goals, but I mean, it's so, in a sense, is it arbitrary?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just because it sounds good. It's just like a little rhyme, isn't it? A 30 before 30. It's just quite a nice thing to say and try to achieve. But let's make no bones about it, mate. You've absolutely smashed it out the park.
On a countries front. Yeah. I mean, I definitely doubled the whole countries thing. I think I'm at 65 or something. But I'll tell you what, now's a really good time for me, I think, to take some stock because I definitely had some anxiety about turning 30. Mm-hmm. That anxiety actually has diminished as I got closer towards it.
Yeah, it's interesting that. Really interesting.
I think that's because I almost saw 30 as this time where it's like a checkpoint. It's like a save point in the game of life.
Right.
And it's okay, I want to have this many tools at my disposal by the time I get to that checkpoint. But I was thinking about it. I was meditating on it. I was really searching, like, what have I done? What haven't I done? What did I think I'd done? And I realised that the goals that I set when I was 20 are pretty irrelevant to 30-year-old Alun.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And the things that I'm proud of, and my greatest stories and my greatest achievements and stuff like that, 20-year-old Alun wouldn't have even known that they were on the cards.
Yeah, let alone dreamt of them.
Yeah. So having these goals that you set when you're 20, you're probably an idiot when you're 20. I was. I didn't know what goals to set myself when I was 20. I didn't even know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life.
Yeah, and I suppose when you started travelling at the age of 21 as well, I guess this is twofold. Did you know that you were going to get hooked on travelling very early on? And in hindsight, could you ever have imagined that you'd still be travelling now, 10 years later?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely didn't know that I was going to get hooked. I definitely didn't think travel was going to be the whole of my 20s. I didn't know any of this. I kind of thought, I want to be a musician, I want to be a writer, I want to do lots of different things. Your 20s is the time for forming your idea of what you want to do for the rest of your life. So how possibly can you decide this is where I want to be when I'm 30?
Yeah.
At 25, I didn't know where I wanted to be when I'm 30. But looking back on everything that I've done, I just think it's been such an eclectic bunch of experiences. I have so many stories that I've been able to tell on this podcast that have happened in my 20s. All the best moments of my life have occurred in the last decade. None of them are things that I expected or planned or thought would happen.
Yeah.
They all come through the medium of traveling.
Yeah, it's maybe a good takeaway from this is just to try and instill in young people how young they actually are. And, you know, to use you as an example, I don't think that you've forced the issue. I don't think you've travelled quicker than you felt necessary or needed to. And to have achieved as much as you have achieved, hopefully what people listening to this podcast realise is that you can achieve an enormous amount within travel at a fairly relaxed pace and still only be 30 years old.
Yeah, totally. And just live life as well. Like, I've not been trying to do anything. I've just been living. I found this thing which made me happy, which was traveling and using all the resources I could gather to invest in more travel.
Yeah.
I just followed that goal above all else. I pursued that one thing single-mindedly. And every good thing that's happened to me has been as a result of that one decision.
Yeah, it's certainly been the common denominator. When I think about the last sort of 10 years of my life, we went on a podcast recently, didn't we? We recorded with a friend of ours. That podcast will be coming out in a few months, and we'll let the audience know, of course. But I said that if you had asked me 5 years ago what my dream job was, it would have been the job I just quit earlier this year.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I quit that job in order to travel further. But again, I felt like I was able to achieve that job through travel. If it wasn't for travel, I wouldn't have been able to obtain the job itself anyway. And even though looking at that, it was a sort of a career move to get that job or work towards that job, you might think, well, that's detracting from your travel objectives. But without that job, I wouldn't have been able to be here now.
Yeah, totally.
It's really, really interesting
It just opens doors, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I was having a conversation with someone just the other day after turning 30. And basically the stipulation that I made was, imagine if I didn't get on that plane to China. Imagine if I just got into a teaching job with an English language degree and lived life completely normally. And even if I had a good life, even if I had a nice home and a partner and a cat, and I had a coffee espresso making machine, and I lived very comfortably.
All the home comforts, which you do appreciate.
And then someone came to me, a spectral figure, and said, great, you're happy, but here's the life you could have had you got on that plane.
Sure,
and showed me all the experiences that I would have missed out on. Because this timeline that I'm on now happens because of one decision I made to get on a plane to China.
I know, it's scary.
And then imagine seeing all those crazy, impossible things, hot air balloon rides over the pyramids in Giza and safaris in the Masai Mara, all these crazy, crazy things. I think I'd go insane. Not because my life wouldn't be good with the job and the espresso machine and the house, but because this one would just feel so dreamlike, and not dreamlike in the perfect sense, because it ain't perfect. Dreamlike in the surreal, what the hell? I missed out on all that. How is that even possible? I just wouldn't have been able to fathom it if I'd lived the other life.
Yeah, the analogy I always use, and I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, I'd be amazed if I haven't, because I do love saying it. But it's basically, if you were to condense all of our experiences down into a liquid, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of the smells, the sunrises, the sunsets, the relationships, the heartbreak, everything that we eat, all this kind of stuff. And imagine you condensed it down into a liquid, and then you could drink that liquid, and in sort of a 30-second, minute-long time lapse, you experience all of the emotions and see all the things that we go through, you would quit your job tomorrow.
Right, because the taste of that tonic would be so palpably better.
Absolutely, yeah.
It would almost drive you insane.
Yeah, you'd be really, really hard-pressed to convince me otherwise. I think even the most career-driven, professional, successful person, if they just got a little taste of what travelling the world non-stop is really like, it's just a wonderful experience, and I really think that a lot of people would quit their job the following day.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Like people who wonder if they're past it, because there are some people who have not gone down the flowchart of irreparability. They're in their 30s, but they don't necessarily have anything that keeps them at home other than the status quo. I just really honestly book a plane.
Yeah, what I would say to those people is that we quite often meet when we're backpacking and living in hostels and stuff. We meet people far older than we are. And once you get out into the real world and you start meeting these people, you realise that there really are no rules.
Yeah, totally.
You know, there are lots of people of different ages and backgrounds and doing loads of different things, and they're so inspiring. That always makes me feel much better, because I'm 5 years older than you. 4.5.
You don't look it.
4.5. Thank you so much. But yeah, I just think, am I past it now? Should I be planning for my future? In a way we are. But then you meet someone who's just lived such a colourful life, who's twice your age.
Yeah.
And they're having a ball, and you just sit down with them, have a drink or have a coffee or go and share some food.
And they're cool and can hang, and like they're just part of the gang when you're travelling.
You get on like a house on fire. And also, we've had a chat with a few really young travellers over the last few months, haven't we, in Mumbai. And there are people that are travelling as young as 19 and 20, and I just wasn't ready for anything at that age. But I remember speaking to these people and them sort of umming and ahhing about whether a life of travel was for them. And I would say, look, guys, you're so young, and I don't mean this in a sort of patronising way, but you could travel for a decade non-stop and still be younger than me.
Yeah.
And I'm still going.
Yeah.
And that really opened their eyes. They thought, oh, yeah, God. Yeah, you know, I'd still have 5 years on you if I went 10 years. And I really want people, you know, I don't
understand that viscerally.
I don't think that's anything against me. I don't take offence to it. I mean, I'm turning 35 this year, and I don't plan on stopping travelling anytime soon. So... I just hope that young people realise how long they've got, how young they are, how many mistakes they can make and still achieve whatever it is they want to do professionally or otherwise.
That's the thing, innit? Turning 30, nothing to be afraid of. I'm so exceptionally grateful and proud of the life that I've been able to live up till now. And that, you know, it's just because I started pulling triggers, just because I got the flight, just because I applied to go on this thing and do this thing and get this job and do this thing and focused on travel is the main thing I put my energy into. I'm privileged, but I'm not exceptionally privileged. I'm smart, but I'm not exceptionally smart. I'm active, but I'm not exceptionally... You know, proactivity, all that stuff is important, but I am just a normal human being. It's not by any product of anything exceptional. Good things happen when you leave the front door. Leave the front door. That's my biggest advice for your 20s.
Yeah, and just sort of circling back to the 30 before 30 movement, I think that's important to touch on. I do think it's also important, sort of similarly to the bucket list, get the balance right. Maybe don't be hell-bent on achieving 30 countries before you're 30, because that might mean that you don't travel countries you're genuinely interested in the right way. So countries like India that we're in now, we're incredibly lucky to have spent 2.5 months in Mumbai. That is actually much longer than most people spend in India ever.
It's been a long time.
We've spent it in one city. So India's a country that I've put up on a pedestal for the last 10 years because I didn't want to come to India and just go to Goa for 10 days and then go, that's India done, because it ain't.
Yeah.
is it?
No, it certainly isn't. We're trying to explore more of India now as it happens, aren't we?
We are.
Should we go off on a brief meditation break, think about aging, the aging process, 30, leaving our 20s behind, and then we'll discuss where the hell we are.
Let's do it. And I've got a little gift to give to you.
Because I turned 30.
Because you turned 30. It was your gift. I wouldn't be a best mate and co-host of a travel podcast with you if I didn't get you a little gifty poo.
Okay, well, present me with that after the meditation break. Let's
Alrighty.
meditate now. Like a gift unwrapped and presented to a man just turning 30, but not too sad about it. I mean, 30, nice, if anything, to be a 30-year-old. Here we are on the other side of the meditation break. Adam, have you got something for me?
Someone told me it was your birthday, and I went out and got you a gift. And I know you said, whatever you do, don't make a big fuss.
I'm not good at receiving gifts.
Is that the reason why?
I go too grateful.
Should I have
Too
second-guessed
long.
you?
I don't know.
You woke up on your birthday, you're like, where's the fucking cake?
No, I'm
and
really
where's
not
the
like
surprise
that.
party?
I actually, you and the people that I've been hanging out with in Mumbai, some beautiful, amazing people, made my birthday this year so special.
Awesome.
You took me out for dinner. They got me a cake. It's just been an amazing time. It's been one of my favourite birthdays ever.
We actually went to quite a cool restaurant, didn't we? Where we got a, how many were there? 12 or 15 taster curries that came out on a little tray. And then you get to taste all of them, fill up on those, and then choose which curry you want as a result. So that was a really fun experience. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't want to delay your gift giving, but seriously,
Yeah.
thank you, because I felt so much love this year.
Oh, good.
It's been really cool, because normally when I'm travelling,
Yeah.
I don't really celebrate my birthday, because what you're going to do, go in a hostel where there's people you've barely met and be like, oh, by the way, guys, it's my birthday. You don't really do it. So it was cool this year to have some people that I really care about celebrate with me.
Good. It was an absolute pleasure. And now it's time for the big reveal.
Okay, so people with video will be able to see this on YouTube /@ Tripology Podcast.
There
or
you go.
Even on Spotify now we have video. But
You
for
betcha.
you audio people, I'm going to describe what happens.
Amazing. So are you ready? It's not
I'm ready.
It's not wrapped.
Okay.
But I hope it's something you like. You are a minimalist.
Yep.
So
That's true.
Are you ready?
I'm ready, I think. Yeah,
Here-
just close my eyes or I'll keep them open and describe.
Okay.
Let's go.
Here we go.
Oh my God.
I've now
Whoa.
presented Alan with the gift, everyone, for his birthday.
Okay.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday to you.
Okay, so it's like a wooden... It's got plastic around it, which is scary for a microphone.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a wooden box,
circular.
circular, with sort of two nipples
2 nipples, yeah.
on either side.
All the best things come in pairs.
It's quite beautiful figured wood.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Very beautiful.
What would that shape be called, actually? Because it's a deep circle, isn't it? Is it a cylinder?
It is like a... Yeah,
short,
like
a short, fat cylinder.
Yeah, like a cylinder. Okay, do I just open this?
If you
Do
can.
I take these out?
Yeah.
Or is it...
Do you know what I've just thought? You might actually need a coin to get it open.
Okay.
In which case,
I want to keep it on camera here. In which case...
it's going to be pretty difficult to open, isn't it? I think you can probably pop it open. There should be
A
little-
coin to get it open.
There's basically a little section in here that you can wedge a coin into.
Is it a puzzle box?
Go on, you can get it open. If I know any man,
Okay, hold
that
my...
can get it open,
Hold my microphone.
it's going to be you. I don't know if it's a little twist and pop, but there's a section where you can fit a coin in.
And that opens.
And let's see if you're able to get it open.
Okay.
Let's keep going. There
I've
it
got it
is.
open.
He's got it open. He's fantastic.
Oh,
Here it
nice.
is. Show it to the camera. All right.
Is what can only be described as a board of chess.
A board of chess.
Travel sized.
Travel size. It's lovely, isn't it? It's well made, hopefully. You think so?
Playing a lot of chess recently.
Yeah. So that's the reason, guys, basically. Just to explain, Alan plays a lot of chess. I don't play any chess. But this is from me to you, mate, so that we can play together on the road.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. We're going to learn properly together, are we?
Yeah, I hope so.
On the chessboard. It's got little pieces in there. Oh, beautiful. Thanks
It's
so
quite-
much.
Oh, you're
Adam.
very welcome. Yeah.
I love it. Travel sized.
Travel size chessboard. And it's quite cute, isn't it?
That's really cute, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to learn to play together.
I wish you could have seen me buy that.
Why, what happened? Tell us a story.
I was in Delhi and I was pounced upon by some guy running down a road, and he was selling one of these, and it was only what was that, like a couple of weeks ago?
Right.
And I thought, well, hang on a minute, this is so serendipitous, isn't it? It's Alan's birthday coming up. Some guy's chasing me down the road trying to sell one of these.
Yeah.
There's there's just no way that this isn't Alan's birthday gift.
Yeah, amazing.
Because of how much you play chess.
I play a lot of chess.
And he was, he was quite a sweet guy. I thought that would be a really nice thing because I don't necessarily know how to play chess. I know that you've said a few times you want to teach me.
Yeah, I think you're good at chess. That's really cool, man. I think chess is like a really good sport. Let's call it a sport.
Yeah, and let's just say as well, all the people we met in Mumbai in the hostel seemed loads of chess players.
Yeah, that hostel. A lot of India. Well, chess invented in India, of course.
Was it?
Yeah.
My
Indian,
goodness.
very ancient Indian game.
That's really cool.
Anglicised, like the queen in chess used to
Right.
be called the minister.
Right, okay.
And it was only when the game was anglicised and became popular in the UK that it was, the piece names were changed.
Yeah, it's funny because there'll be some people listening to this podcast, people who know me personally. Famously, I don't play board games.
Right.
So they'll probably be getting a bit of a chuckle
I
out
don't
of
know
this.
if I'd even consider chess a board game.
Isn't it the ultimate board game?
Yeah. I think it's like its own tier of board game.
Yeah, I'm always quite embarrassed when I go around someone's house and they're like, "Oh, Adam, yeah, do you want to get a drink and come and join us at the table? We're going to play Catan." And I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
that's a board game.
Yeah.
Board game. The thing about chess is there's zero luck involved.
Zero luck.
Zero luck of any kind. If you lose a game of chess, it's
Yeah.
because you've made a mistake somewhere along the way. You're 100% accountable in a game of chess.
Okay, well, that fills me with no confidence whatsoever. Now the pressure's on.
It's a lovely gift, man. Thank you
Wicked.
so much.
I'm very glad.
Thank you so much.
Maybe we could do a Patreon episode where
we just play a game of chess.
Yeah,
Let's do it. I'm into it. Okay. Yeah, patreon.com/Tripology podcast. We do a show after the show. And
There
we'll
you
play
go.
a game of chess. Mate, we're sat, notably, doing this podcast from a somewhat ramshackle, it's fair to say.
Yeah, I did look at
Hotel room.
It's a hotel room. I looked at the rating of this hotel. No stars.
Really?
Yeah, no stars.
What
So
do you have to do to get a star? Swimming pool.
I don't know in India really, and that's it's not anything bad about India, but there are a number of hotels around us that I thought looked quite swanky, and they're only 2-star hotels.
Right.
So maybe that.
It's amenities, isn't it? The stars are amenities.
Yeah,
You
well,
get like a star for a restaurant, a star for a swimming pool.
a Wi-Fi connection that works more than 5 minutes a day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, we should address this. This is maybe more like what it's going to be going forward because I feel like we've been treated to having a very professional looking studio over the last couple of months.
Yep.
We were treated very, very well by the guys there. And now we're on the road. We're travelling again.
Back on the road.
We're having
Love
to
it.
remain agile, find cool little spaces to record. We're now sitting on a bed for you guys listening with just audio. We're just sitting on a bed in the hotel room.
Well, I'd love to talk about how we got here, what we plan to do, all of that stuff. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
But it's going to have to wait for a subsequent episode because I would love to finish this episode off by just doing sort of a post-mortem on our time in Mumbai.
Yeah.
Because Mumbai, apart from finishing off with the ascension out of my 20s, now, I've been backpacking since I was 21. That's 9 years straight hard backpacking with brief stops for pandemics and other things.
Yeah.
I think that Mumbai will have a really significant place in my heart for a number of reasons.
Oh,
It's the
good.
first time I've ever travelled with you.
Yeah.
And this podcast has really grown while we've been in Mumbai. I want to say thank you. We just hit 10,000 followers on Instagram,
Yeah. Go and check it out if you haven't yet.
10,000 subscribers on YouTube plus.
Yeah. Now 16, nearly 17,000.
We've had a couple of reels go viral in Mumbai.
We have, and some really cool collaborations as well. We were well received, to say the least, weren't we? It was so fun to work with all the people we've worked with. Thanks so much for having us on.
Yeah, we just did a food challenge with the guys at Awaken Bite. We
Yeah.
went on Kissy Podcast, one of Mumbai's coolest, hippest podcasts.
Yeah, Foodie Kashif as well had us on for a few eating challenges, and those reels are coming out as we speak.
It's just been a time of exceptional growth for Tripology. It's
And
been a time of exceptional growth just for us as podcasters, I feel like.
Yeah,
Mumbai, man.
I know, we've learned an incredible amount. And what's really interesting about this is that we manifested it. We thought to ourselves, right, Alan, you're in India. I'm looking at making a move somewhere. Do we think...
Oh, God, Adam. Making a move.
Yeah, meet me at
And
a
you've
hotel.
chosen now to tell me.
Set up the camera, meet me at a hotel. No, so basically, it was no fluke, was it, that we met in Mumbai? We thought it's innovative, it's creative, there's lots of interesting people here. It's definitely a city on the up. And I feel like we've given it a really good go, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. It hasn't been easy.
No.
We've worked incredibly hard.
Yeah, there's been some wild moments. There's been some stressful moments. There's been some moments where I think if we weren't so committed to doing this above all else, this is the point where other people would like hold their hands up and take a step back.
Yeah.
Because I think like when you're doing something like this, much like with travel, you just have to keep on driving forward. When the going gets tough, you've got to just carry on.
Yeah, I know that when I first quit my job at the bank, my boss offered me a sabbatical and said, don't make any rash decisions. We'll keep your job open for you for 3 months or 6 months. You can just come back. And I spoke to my parents about it. I'm sure I've said this on a podcast before. And my parents very sensibly said, look, just take it. It's a safety net. It's a plan B. If things don't go well, you don't know if travelling is going to be for you. You can always come back and do that job and keep the money coming in, etc., etc. And I thought, no, because then I'll have a way out.
Yeah,
and I don't want a way out. And you're so much more likely to take that option and not push yourself forward if it's there. So I thought, I don't want to take it. Let's just keep going. And for us, that's the same thing. There is no option. We want to make this work so much. We absolutely love what we're doing, and we hope you do as well.
Absolutely, man. I think that it's onwards and upwards.
Yeah, well, from Mumbai, we feel like we've given a lot and we've taken a lot. We've made some great friends, some great connections, and it's. I would say, like, to be completely honest with you, I've now lived there long enough to feel, to really understand what it might be like to live there. I quite fancy it as a city, I do rate it for all the bad things that people say, and they are bad.
Yeah.
The infrastructure and the traffic is a fucking nightmare, to be honest with you.
It's been the city which has made me fall in love with India. I had a very love-hate relationship with India. Not that I ever really hated it, but I definitely didn't really love it either. Yeah. I had a like-dislike relationship with India where I thought it was pretty cool, beautiful, but to be honest, when I flew back here from Sri Lanka, I was a bit like, okay, back into the fray. This is the wild, kind of hectic part of travel. But in Mumbai, it's kind of been a reset for me as an individual, man.
Wicked.
I think
that's really positive.
It's been a lot of work. No qualms about that. But it's also been a place that I've kind of fallen in love with travel and people and you and the podcast, and let myself be vulnerable and open up again. And I think that I'll remember it very, very fondly forever. But one kind of thing I'd like to maybe say to the audience who really cares about backpacking, because there's people that listen to this show just because they want advice about where to go with their lives as it pertains to backpacking. And for those people, I'd say another lesson learned, because I'm still learning and growing every single day on the road. Like, the reason I keep on traveling is because it teaches me something all the time.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that for people who go to a place and think, oh, that's a little bit challenging, I'm not sure I like it there. Yeah. You can't possibly know that unless you put in the time.
Yeah.
Because your experience of a place is only ever the experience you have of a place.
Yeah, exactly. You can only judge a place by your experiences in it.
Yeah, so my dislike of India was because I had some bad experiences in India. And now my love of India is because I've allowed myself to fall in love with India. And I could only do that, it turns out, by living in Mumbai for 2 months, making friends, like going around to people's houses, chilling out a little bit, working, doing the collaborations. I think it's just time in each and every game.
Yeah, we were there long enough to build relationships, to have friendship groups, to do the sorts of things that we would do if we lived there. We sort of had a routine, and we got to know the different suburbs, and even something as simple as just knowing the distance between two places, or how to get somewhere without using a map, or make suggestions when other people ask you for help. It's been so wonderful, man. It really. Your
relationship with the place totally changes, doesn't it? When you start just hailing a tuk-tuk and giving directions to a place that you know the way to, because you know the city, and you start to realize, oh, like, when did this become home? This is crazy.
Yeah. It's also nice to go to a restaurant that you've been to before that you really enjoy. Yeah. That maybe someone else showed you, and there's like a new backpacker that's come in. I'm like, come with me. I'll take this, but don't worry, I'll take care of the ordering. But yeah, I love Mumbai to bits. And in the same breath, I would say the same thing about Mumbai as you would New York for the US, London for the UK, or Paris, France. Mumbai isn't representative of all of India, obviously.
Of course.
So now that we're back on the road, we're going to get a little bit of a taste of the rest of India as well. Heading north, love it.
Yeah, and this is an interesting time for Tripology now, because Mumbai, although it's been cool and been on the road and we've been together for the first time, we have just been working on building this brand.
Yeah.
Now we're traveling again, weekly travel stories, old school Tripology, what happens to Adam and Alun on a weekly basis. We've got a travel story for you, which is how we came to be here in Jamnagar, in Gujarat. We're going to tell it on the next week's episode, but truthfully, we've said it before and we'll say it again, there has never been a better time to join the show.
Yeah, totally agree.
We're growing fast and we want to hear from you. We're on Instagram at Tripology Podcast. We do weekly skits, we do weekly bits of content, we do interviews, we do all sorts over there.
Thanks ever so much for sending in the emails as well. We enjoy reading those, and you know that you're getting them back, so that's fun as well.
Yeah, that's tripologypodcast@gmail.com.
Keep them coming in.
Become part of the community, because the community has never been bigger. Thank you for listening to the show, and we'll see you next week when we talk about a nightmare bus ride over the streets of India. It's going to be a crazy story. We can't wait to tell it to you, but for now, we'll see you next week.
Happy birthday, mate.
Yeah, thanks you, my brother. We'll see you.
See you there.
Bye.